Thought I'd do a video today explaining the solo in ways you can use a big hook which don't fit, and the reasons why the imp does work and doesn't work with big baits. So we've all put hundreds and hundreds of these imps together with our fingertips. Some of you might find it hard, some it might hurt your fingertips. It does. I've had a few of those little crossbars where the plastic bits slip under my fingernail. Yeah, it does hurt. But you can buy this imp assembly tool. It's a good little tool. That's it there. A couple of little nodules in it, and I'm not too sure what that one does in the middle, but I'll soon find out. So we have a clip here from an imp. There, it's simple. The bottom of the imp sits in that cutout on your right, so my left, and it sits in there like that. And the little crossbar where the plastic bit sits, always facing upwards. So it sits in a little crevice, and then all you do is you get your thumb and you open it up. It opens it up for you. So you get your little plastic imp and you sit that on the crossbar as normal, lift it off, and it's already on for you. Nice and easy. Just clip it in, bang. Look how quick and easy. We've all done, I've got 100 here to do, but I'm not going to do them now, no chance. But that has made it really easy. So it's a good little tool, imp assembly tool. Hit them up there on the VMO website, only a couple of quid. Might save you a bit of aggro, a bit of time, and a bit of pain. Right, I want to talk to you about the imp. It's an amazing little clip. Some people say you shouldn't use them on a pulley rig. Some people say you shouldn't use them with big leads, big baits. You might be correct, but I've been using these for a few years now. Not one has let me down on a cast. The smallest lead I use is 7 ounces. 7 ounces for the rays, sometimes 8 ounce. But depending on where I'm fishing, could it be stout point on the very first hour of fishing as you get around the point, or the sand spit on a big tide on the flood, you need 10 ounces of lead. 8s would be fine, but 10 ounces you can guarantee you're holding bottom. I've never had one of these break with a 10 ounce lead with a sand eel squid or a bluey, a ray bait or a crab bait for a hound. I've never had an imp snap with a 10 ounce lead. The reason why these snap is, if you think about it now, you've got a big lead, a nice, that's an 8 ounce. You've got a nice 8 ounce lead there. When that hits the water, you've got a nice thin streamlined bait behind that. There's no pressure on that imp whatsoever. All it does is flick your bait off, which is what we wanted to do. When you've got a whole mackerel, so not a thin joey size, when you've got like a whole mackerel, if you're skate fishing, tope fishing, or you're using large blueies or whole whitings or whole pollock, whole pouting, you know what I'm getting, like big baits. When the lead hits the water, which is fine, the problem you've got, because you've got such a big bait on that clip, the amount of pressure that's put on that bait on impact with the water. Remember, that imp, that plastic piece, is only sitting on a small metal crossbar, which is probably half a centimetre, if that, a third of a centimetre. There's so much pressure put on that plastic clip. When it's impacted with the water, it pulls the plastic clip off. And I've had when I first started tope fishing back 7 years ago, I was using imps. I was having pretty much one every other cast coming in, either bent, snapped, or missing the plastic clip. And as soon as you put a small bait out, it doesn't happen. It's because when you're using a big bait, so say it's like an inch either side, there's so much pressure put on that plastic clip. As soon as it hits the water, it just pops off. It bends and it pops off. So the imps are good. You can use them with pulley rigs. I've never had one fail. Someone might have. It could have been a bad cast. It could have been a snatchy cast. It could have been a weak point in the metal. It could be these are so mass produced. There has to be the odd couple of weak ones out there. This goes for anything else. But I wouldn't use the imp on big baits. I would use the solos. Now, I've had a couple of people ask me, why am I not using the solos anymore? And why am I not using the 8.0 BMXs anymore? Well, I've been sea fishing 30 years. I'm not afraid to admit I like to copy, I like to follow, I like to try something new. And I talked to a mate of mine, Ryan Wingfield. We all know who Ryan Wingfield is. If you don't, then you haven't been on the scene long, because he is the British record holder, not once but twice, for the tope fishing. Phenomenal angler. He uses catfish hooks. He's had numerous tope over 50. He's had 2 over 60. He's had a 61, a 64. He's had 2 70s, 75 and 77 and a half, I believe, shattering his own British record. I think he broke the British record by over £10 originally, but someone else's, Kev Legs fish, I think it was like 66, I think. But yeah, £77, phenomenal fish. But so I thought, he's using catfish hooks, so I'm going to try catfish hooks. And 18 months ago I started using catfish hooks. I've always used 8 OBMXs. I've caught a lot of tope on 8 OBMXs, but in the last 18 months since I've had using the 6.0 VMO catfish, all the tope I've had this year already have been nailed on that catfish hook. I've had some on a top hook and the scissors, and I've had some with both hooks, back of the mouth, absolutely nailed, and they will not come undone. So I thought I'd try them. But the problem you've got with such a big catfish hook, it doesn't fit in the solo. It just doesn't. I went through an experiment last year. I should have done it. I got a drill and I drilled out the plastic in the solo to make it to fit one of these big catfish hooks. It sitted in nice and it did release. But I had this one day and it was a bit tight. I had a cast before, I had a Huss. I thought, at least it's releasing. It is tight, but it's releasing. Cast back out, bang, rod rips off. Tope on. Screaming, drops the bait, and I'm like, oh no. The first drop run on the catfish hook. Left it there. 10 minutes later, he's back. Might have been the same fish, might be a different one. Screaming on, tope, he's hooked. Got him all the way in, down the edge. Leader comes up, oof, tope comes off. And I'm like, oh, what has gone on now? Comes out the water. The catfish is still in the solo clip. I've got the picture now still to this day, and I was devastated. You got bite marks over the solo, little teeth marks over the solo, on the rig body, the wire. He was just, he was never going to get hooked. So I stopped using solos for that, because I didn't want to change the hook, because I got so much faith in that hook from Ryan. And what I've caught previously on it. What you can do is little split rings, any split ring type. If you put it on your big hook, this can go for tope fishing, conger fishing, skate fishing. It hasn't got to be a split ring. It can be a round one, not an oval one. Or you can even tie some line off the bottom of your hook, which I've seen done. A loop with some 300-pound braid, like a dongle, and then just clip it like that, if you can see that. So it's the oval split ring is hanging off the bottom of the hook, and then just clip that as you would the hook. There you are. Simple, exactly the same. Clip down. You can use those massive 10, 12, 14 O'Shaughnessy's that you use for the skates. Big 6 to 8 catfish hooks for the tope. All on that split ring. Nice, aerodynamic. You won't even know it's on there. And then as soon as it hits the seabed, poof, off it comes. You might get the split ring back with you every time. You might lose it. Just take a pack of 50 or a pack of 100 with you. They're cheap as chips, so a couple of quid for, I don't know, 50. So, but enables you to use a hook of your choice, because the 8.0 BMX fits perfect in the solo, but I prefer the catfish or double catfish hook, double 6.0 catfish hook. I prefer. I've been using that since Christmas time, or just for Christmas, a double catfish, and every tope I've had, I've nailed since Christmas. Apart from one, he wasn't even hooked. I got him right to the water's edge, and you could see in the mouth he had the hold of the bait, literally just had a hold of it, and both hooks were out of his mouth, and all he did was open his mouth and he was off. So one big gulp, he might have been hooked, but he didn't. He had hold of it, probably running from a pack of them. Come in right down to got him onto the surface, right on the bottom. Oof, just open his mouth, let go. So I've cleared up the assembly tool, the solo bait clips in ways that you can use. Should have a couple in here. That's all they are. It's tiny little split rings. That's a 13mm one, that is. You can use 10mm, but it will help you cast out big baits on a skate, because I know on a skate you can't cast out a sand eel squid wrap for a skate. It's got to be big baits. So yeah, so if you fancy getting an imp assembly tool, they do the job for the imps. Save your fingertips. Get them on the VMO website, and you can use any type of split ring or anything for the solo. So I hope I've cleared that up. Oh, one thing about the solo, before you cast out, make sure you got that little click in it. If it's too loose, it'll come off mid-air. You got to feel that click to make sure if it's too tight, it might risk not letting go of the hook. If it's too loose, your bait will come off mid-air, blow your reel up. Don't want that to happen. So just check it. They're only plastic and light metal, so be careful not to bang them against the rocks, because when I was using these back last year, I was going through 2 or 3 extra, cut the rig body, retie an imp on. Or you can use a Gemini link, clip it on. If it breaks, just clip it off. Saves you cutting your rig body. So hope the video was helpful on the reasons on the imp, why they blow up. It's not because of the cast, it's because of the size of the bait. And a nice little tip you can use for using big hooks in solos. So give it a go. Fingers crossed it works for you. Tight lines.